Okay, see you later.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loud Spot. I'm your host, Sebastian Cosby, right out of Oklahoma City. What? What are you doing that for?
I can't hear shit.
I can.
You can
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
You're good.
Hold on. I'll be right back.
And that's how we start the show. And that's actually going to be on Friday when we get this. Ruining my intro, man. So we are here with Dean O'Shaughnessy, right?
Yes, sir.
With the DNS Agency and Entertainment Group, right?
Yep. You
All
got
right.
it.
So tell us, what is the DNS Agency all about? What do you do?
I work on a lot of projects, do a lot of collaboration. I do artist management. I manage 5 different artists. I work and collab with several artists on different projects. Just started to get into film and work on some things on film as well. I go out and spend some time out on tour, helping support some folks. It's been out on the road for months on end at a time sometimes. So you name it, everything, all in entertainment. So it's all kind of conducive to the DNS Agency.
That's cool, man. How in the heck do you even get into that? Like, let's say somebody's like, that sounds like a really cool job. I want to do that, because essentially you're a band manager. Is that correct?
Yeah, I manage 5 artists.
Okay. So how do you even get into something like that? Were you just going to concerts and then you became friends with bands and said, I'm going to start a company? Or did you get hired on with someone? Give us the lowdown, man.
You know, matter of fact, I was working in retail in leadership capacities, running stores. And at the time, I was back in 2005, I was working with Best Buy. And at that time, 80% of the floor space was designated to, media. So DVDs, CDs, music. So I started getting acclimated to, in-store appearances and the entertainment folks who were running the entertainment division. Gary Arnold, who's his, bless his heart, has since passed, but he was a big influence, and he was the director of entertainment for Best Buy. Used to be the COO at Hollywood Records. And really, I think at the time, like Chickenfoot was breaking. There was just a lot of folks that were coming inside stores. We were doing a lot of different type of events. And so I really looked at, how do you apply, how do you work with, I was already working and managing retail, working in corporate America, running operations, developing the brand, building the financials out. And then and I was like, it kind of applies to music too. It's just a different customer base, right? So instead of having customers come to your store, you got fans. And and so I started getting hooked up. I started managing a local band in my spare time, and did that. And I started going out to see shows and getting just knee deep into the local scene in Sacramento, California. So I started working with artists, and there was ways for artists to get into distribution without being signed to a major label. And so nobody knew that. Like, they thought you had to be in a major label to get distribution, but there was a way. It was actually within the company, but you kind of had to know somebody on the inside that could kind of share that with you, right? And so I kind of became that guy as a resource for people to connect with. Okay, and so that's kind of where it started back in 2005.
Would you say you kind of naturally fell into your position, like you just kind of got lucky and just you were working it, but it just kind of worked out for you to get to where you're at today without having to try as hard as maybe some other people would?
I found that artists needed representation just like organizations needed leadership, right? And so the same rules applied, right? With having strong values, work ethic, a tenacity for results. And so I looked at that, and when it came to managing groups or manage my first group, I was a corporate buyer at one time for the largest retailer in the world. Had a budget of $550 million of my responsibility. So I just I was like, it was kind of similar, and bands needed to have somebody that could represent them. That could speak on their behalf, could could contact the label and could have that conversation with the CEO, could have that conversation or have that meeting and facilitate that deal or that structure. And it was something that was in my wheelhouse because of my background in business. So that's where it started. I was working with Best Buy at the time.
So when you first started going on tours, right? You started touring with some of these bands, and you've been on some pretty big tours, I would assume, right?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't start doing it like 100% all in until a couple of years ago. But
okay.
I had an opportunity to. I met Scott and Jacqueline Stapp about 5 years ago, and had an opportunity, became friends with those folks and their families, the greatest people in the world. And I was asked if I would consider the opportunity to go out and work with Scott and handle like VIP meet and greets and security and take care of the hospitality and just kind of do all things on tour. And I thought, it was something that running Black Fridays and stuff in retail and 10,000 people and orchestrating the chaos. I'm like, I could do the concert, right? I got that. I can do the meet and greet. I could do the security. I could do so I really couldn't come up with a reason why not.
Right. Yeah. Dude, I got an interesting question. So when one of your bands, right, one of your 5 bands is going on to a podcast, do you say, hey, make sure you don't announce this, make sure you don't announce that? Would that be you?
No, that would have probably been before, I think that, one of the things talking to Julian and Maddie of Rev Theory, because they're one of the artists I manage.
Okay.
And, we always talking about being authentic, right? And being real.
Yeah.
And I think that there's obviously, if you're going to go on Good Morning America, you're going to want a little bit structure. You're going to want one of our PR team. You're going to want somebody to talk with you and just say, hey, maybe some do's and don'ts if it's your first time out.
Right.
But, nowadays, like, people don't want things scripted, man. They just want to keep it real, and they want to know that it's genuine and authentic. When you get what you see. So no, I don't. Maybe after the call, I'm always the type of person that says, hey, maybe next time we look at it this way.
Right.
They feel comfortable with whatever's been said. But no, I want it to be organic. I want it to be real with folks.
I've had a couple of people, other podcasters, tell me you should really script, get your questions. And honestly, dude, I have like 2 questions to ask you on this piece of paper. Everything else I just kind of make up off of whatever you tell me.
Yeah, and I think there's when working with certain people, I can tell you the questions are always the same, right? So if you're working with an artist that maybe was part of a prior project, it's always the question about the prior project. If the band has changed a singer, the question always about the singer, right? It's, and the artist, I can tell you, really want to talk about other stuff, right? They want to have a conversation, shoot the shit, and if there's things like upcoming releases or they're going to go on tour and those type of things, they'll plug that,
Absolutely, yeah, and I tried to not say the same old boring shit, dude, on every single episode. So when you were coming on, I was like, man, what am I going to ask him? I don't know what I'm going to ask him. But lies. Who's he talking to, you or me?
Probably both.
Mostly you, Sebastian. Mostly you. Okay. Just to let you know real quick, we got 2 songs keyed up, one from Rev Theory, one from Eve Adam, so we can share those later on. So
okay.
What
songs did we queue up?
I have no idea. Probably the ones that aren't released yet. Sam somehow got a hold of them.
No, I would never do that. As an artist manager myself, I would never do that to Dean. Just kidding. Yeah, they are. They're all non-released songs. He sent it to me. I got them now. Yeah, the first one, I did forget the name, is from Rev Theory. It was about 7 months ago. The second one is Eve to Adam and is Day Drinking. So.
Oh, okay. That's a great song.
Yep.
Okay.
Probably Remember Me is the one from Rev Theory.
Yeah, here we go.
All right, let's play it. Yeah, dude, that is super cool. That's a cool song. I like. How long have you been managing Rev Theory for?
You know what's interesting? I've been officially managing them almost 2 years. Um,
Okay.
and what's interesting is I met those guys. I had them in an in-store appearance when they released their Light It Up album in '08.
Oh
And
yeah, I remember
so
that
I
one.
had met them and their TM at the time, and the opening band for them was was the group I was managing, and so Julian Jorgensen, founding guitarist and songwriter, we've stayed in touch since '08. And then there was a period of time for about 5 or 6 years that they were inactive and not working on things, and Julian and I've always kind of kept in touch, and we just started talking about where things were at, where I was at with music, right? Devoting
Uh-huh.
100% and where I had come from. So, it's just one of those things. Like, matter of fact, I was talking to him today for an hour, and just talking about where we're at, what things we got coming up, and just I find that good people in life want to be around good people, and
Right.
so a lot of the people, like even Eve to Adam, I met Taki 14 years ago when he was opening for Daughtry, at
Okay.
a
Yeah.
local show. And so my relationships typically are long lasting. They're like lifelong. Um, and I just don't like to have bad relationships or have bad people, like I just don't have time,
Are,
no
are,
room.
so is that something you take into consideration when you're going to manage a band? Let's say there's a band you like, and you know what? They need a good manager. I'm available. They're looking for a new one, maybe. If you don't personally really like them that much as people, do you kind of tend to stay away, even if you like their music?
Yeah, I think you have to work with people that you want to represent them,
Right.
and I think it's just immensely important, right? That when you go out and you work with an artist, no different than working for a Fortune 500 company, right? Like, if you're going to go work for Google or Apple or, Tesla, I mean, you got to represent. And I think the same thing for me goes with artistry and artist management is that, being able to represent the artist with the highest integrity and morals and values, but, what they stand for, what they're about. And sometimes, I got to have them explain the lyrics to me. Like what's the message, um and those type of things. But yeah, I definitely think those relationships that you keep close in your life, you're gonna spend a lot of time with somebody,
Uh,
and invest in them. You've got to be good with what's going on.
right. Now, and you said earlier you have 5 artists that you manage right now. Is that like an average number for you? Do you ever go more than 5? Is it ever just like a couple at a time, or I guess it would fluctuate, right?
It would, I look at, because the amount of activity and the things that are going on. I think, one of the things that's important to understand is that, the more people get managed, or the folks, the more diluted things get, right? And
Yeah.
I've met people and they haven't talked to their manager in, months, and they don't get called back. And I'm like, that I'm, 24/7. I work for my artist, and I'm always available, always get back to them, always respond. But I work on collaborate a lot of product projects. Like I'm working with a band, the Ghost Town Rebellion, who's got a single coming out. They've
Oh,
been working on it.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. I'm friends with Sean, and they've been
Yeah,
on,
so
the
so
show.
so we work together. So I don't manage the band, but we've been working on collaborating for over a year and working on content, the development of the album. I'm gonna release it. Just sent me the video. Got the final edits on the single artwork for a Rabbit Hole. He was just messaging me here about an hour ago.
That's
So
their newest song, right? Rabbit Hole.
Rabbit Hole's going to be the new single.
Okay, yeah.
I'll send it to you so that you can see it. I'll send you a private link for the video.
Cool.
But
Awesome.
just really, really an awesome track, man. The video was done so well. But I work on, somebody wants to release a song. I work with a group called Inner Image out of Texas, and they were in Houston, and we started working on some stuff for a few months. So sometimes if somebody wants to work with me, maybe they're going to release a single, or maybe they need help with solidifying a relationship with a booking agent.
Right.
Maybe they need to do a press release because they've had some changes and they need somebody that has a good PR person. And I work with Shauna O'Donnell, and she's great. She works with a lot of A-listers as far as PR is concerned. So I've surrounded myself with just great, talented people. Now we all kind of like are on the same page with just wanting to do the best things for artists, and
Right.
then getting the best outcomes. So
I do want to play it's Eve to Adam, right? But before I play that, I do want to ask you: would you say that with the different bands and with your management style, do you categorize like booking agent, record label, distribution? Like, do you have categories that you have to go across and check off the list as a band manager?
I think that's kind of the vetting process. About like where people are at, and in order for me to say I'm going to manage somebody, so, I manage. I manage a group called Dreamers Crime, and we're going to be releasing a single on the 23rd of this month, and the guys are in Australia. And
Nice.
one of the things for them was being to establish relationships here in the U.S. because they've toured the Philippines, they've toured Vietnam, they've done some touring for a couple of years, but they haven't established themselves here. So like for their goal is to work through the U.S. and the U.K. Right? So that's for them. And versus like Rev Theory has done the U.S. tour, right? So I mean, they've toured with everything from Avenged Sevenfold and then Five Finger, and they've Buck Cherry, Hinder took them out for a long time, and but Evanescence had got their feet wet over in Europe in 2008. Amy Lee took them over to Europe. So our focus for Rev, because they've done a lot of the U.S. stuff, is to grow them down to South America and in Europe, and then come back. So it's like each artist and the needs they vary. So it isn't like a cookie cutter approach and be like, hey, here's the deal. Like there is a process to release music. There's a process for certain things you need to be doing to engage your fans. But
so 5 bands could be a lot on your plate.
It is. I think it's a good number. I have a band, Chaos Magic Katarina. She's down in Chile, and she's releasing her 3rd album through Frontiers. She's signed to an Italian label, and they've done some U.S. touring, but she's not done South America, and she's not done the U.S. And then it's just like each group. Tulip's a symphonic metal band that's out of Dallas, Texas, who went out with Evergrey. And we're working on some things. We're about to release an EP here for their new material, and again, the needs are they're different. So whether the touring, Rev is not going to be touring the U.S. right now. They're going to be touring international. They're going to come back to the U.S. versus like the guys are in Australia. They want to come here. They want to come to the U.S.
Right. Yeah, dude. That I just imagine how much. I'm sure you write everything down. I would assume you write everything down somewhere. I do want to play Eve to Adam. I always thought this band was called From Eve to Adam for some reason. I don't know why I thought that.
I mean, this is actually their 20th year commemorative on their first album that they had started with Desmond Child. So we're going to be doing a project here in his honor this year because talking to guys, that's who actually he got started with was Desmond.
Awesome. And what's the name of this song we're going to play?
Day Drinking.
There you go.
I can't. Can't get him on the phone. I'm trying.
We gotta keep trying. Keep trying. It's got a answer. Keep trying.
Keep going. I'm done.
We'll try him one more time. We can't miss the show.
He's not answering, man. I'm trying. I need a drink.
Sometimes the change just ain't enough. I see it full, this empty glass. It's good enough when it's all you have. Well, you know what we need right now. I feel it when we're hanging out. I know what I need right now. I can't take another week. So well. Throw it back to the morning light. Drinking, living hard, but it feels so right. Drinking, you numb the pain to fight the fight. Drinking, there ain't no shame in this way of life. Sometimes it's hard when it's never ending. Just so you know you're not alone. We'll pay the price for this midday bender, but it's worth the life we're shaving off. It's worth the life we're shaving off. Throw it back to the morning light. Drinking, living hard, but it feels so right. Drinking, you numb the pain to fight the fight. Drinking, there ain't no shame in this way of life. There ain't no shame in this way of life. There ain't no shame in this way of life.
Hell yeah, man! I wonder if they actually got drunk in the making of that that film.
I got a hangover just watching it.
We are totally getting dinged on YouTube, and we're getting hella dinged, dude. Like, I was getting dinged. We're getting hella dinged on YouTube and Facebook.
We don't make any money off of this anyway, so
No, that's true. We do not. So
it's about sharing the music, right, Dean? That's
It
what
is,
it's
man.
about.
that's right. That's right. I think it's interesting to have a band manager on. I think it's neat. Instead of your bands coming on, we have you on, and we get to have more bands than just one.
The number one question, right, is always, I think, Sam, when he sent me the note, I was like, which band? It was just about the interview. And of course, I always, it's kind of like from high to low, right? Like just meaning like popularity wise and people that know that I associate with certain people, I work with certain people, I manage certain people. So, typically I always kind of can guess, who it's going to be about, at least, in current state. And then he's like, no, you. And I'm like, for what? He said,
You know what? It's interesting. It's really interesting for people that are in bands to hear another perspective instead of just another band. They want to hear, like, bands are going to love this interview over anyone.
All right. For reason why I picked it is because I'm the one spewing the same thing you've been spewing this whole entire time. So maybe if someone else hears another manager say the same thing, then they'll maybe start getting it, start figuring it out. I doubt it because you and I both know there's a level of people in this industry. So that will listen, and then there's the others that will not listen. They do it their own way, which is fine. They're entitled to it. So, but I wanted to hear from you the exact same stuff I've been spewing for, I don't know, what now, 30 episodes?
A lot.
Yeah. I tell folks, everything's possible. It's one of these things where, you got to believe, you got to have faith, but I mean, you have to be tenacious with how hard you work. Right. And you have to, go to sleep thinking about it, wake up thinking about it. But everything's possible. I mean, I look at everything from, who I've met and where I've been and the relationships and, the things that have just kind of that have just happened. And if you were to write them down, people are like, they'd probably say no way. And I'm like, man, if you believe everything's possible in life, it truly will start to present itself. And what I find, Sam, and you probably do too, Sebastian, you probably hear a lot about this, is all the reasons why it isn't. And I'm like, well, if that's the focus, then you're going to always be where you're at, right? So it's always about how can you move things forward, how can you accomplish result, and know that it's possible, right? Because I get the this is the way it's always been, or it's this type of world, or you got to know this person. And I would tell you that knowing the right people is important, of value, right? So like if you've got a bad attitude, poor work ethic, I don't care who you know, nobody's going to want to work with you, right?
True. Yeah.
That's
in every industry. That's not
correct.
just music, it's everywhere. Yeah, life. Yep,
yeah.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, people are always chomping at the bit to work with good people in business. And I think the same thing goes with artists. It's the ones that I feel like, F everybody and I'm just going to do this, but I want to connect. Like, well, there's a process to connect, and it's always about the fans. And when we're doing lineup changes, or we've got different people on different projects right now with me, people receive it well. They want to hear music, right? The fans want to hear these bands. They want to hear the music, and they may, there may be somebody that's bothered by the drummer is somebody different, or the singer is somebody else singing main, and like there's always going to be something. But then there's people who are like, man, give it to me, I love it, right?
Yeah.
And I can remember Chester, before he passed, I can remember his last album he dropped, right? And he was really moving the direction of what he wanted to do. And I can remember listening to the tracks, I'm like, I love it. It's a little bit different from what they had started out doing, but I appreciate it for what it was. I didn't compare it to anything. And so, some people receive that well and some people don't. Like, nobody wants to be compared to somebody else. No,
Right.
Nobody wants to be compared to the ex-boyfriend, girlfriend. Doesn't want to be compared to the ex-girlfriend or ex-spouse, right? I mean, nobody wants it.
Right. Yeah.
That's so. Just listen to the new stuff, appreciate the new stuff, the new show, the new lineup, and live life's moments. Have fun.
I think people get mad when bands change up their sound. They're not used to it.
Yeah,
like Deftones, they're the epitome. I was reading something the other day, and these guys were like, they never even set out for a genre, right? They just wanted to just kill it, slay, make music. That they just Chino and everybody just want to make music. Period. You come. If you don't, you don't. It's all cool. It's all good. And I was like, man, what a great outlook, right? Don't even classify my genre. We don't want to be put in a hole. And so I would tell you, I think a lot of artists now, Rev is experimenting with some remixes. So we drop a remix on the 23rd of this month. Plastic Cinema is the name of the project. And we will be coming out with remixes in a different genre from Plastic Cinema, from producer Maddie. So we're, these are things that are important. Like, we all want to do different things in life. So you're going to keep something to the core, and then you're going to have other things. You're going to evolve. But Plastic Cinema will drop their first track. It's going to be a Make Me a Drink remix of a different genre. And that drops on the 23rd as well this month.
Well, quick question for you, Dean, before we wrap this all up. One of the things that you probably get a lot of times is, when does a band necessarily need to put together a team? What point would that be? I always tell them, I said, you're the only one that can answer that. But it could be from day one, or it could be after the first EP or the second EP. I always tell them, just put together a good team, and you'll propel a lot faster versus trying to do it all on your own.
Yeah, man, I think that's great advice, Sam. I would tell you, I believe the same. You don't have to get to a certain point before, some folks, they don't need a manager. Right. What they need is somebody to maybe help them with distribution, or help them. And I've worked with people on releasing a song. Right. And we have the marketing plan, the playlist pitching. We're going to get a press release done, but you don't want to tour. You've got day jobs. You don't plan on going anywhere. You're not really doing anything. You just want to be known, recognized, play music. Maybe you want to play some festivals, but that's it. That's your aspiration, and that's okay. So you don't need a manager. You need somebody to help assist you with that. But to your point, Sam, that's great advice, and just always be looking to grow and to surround yourself with the right people that align with what you're doing and where you're going, that believe in you, that can help, accelerate that growth. And that comes at different times for different people. And I'm sure, like you, I get hit up with stuff and, somebody's ready. And I'm like, there's no social engagement. There's no following. There's no anything. They hadn't done any touring. They don't have a booking agent. And I'm like, ready for what?
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna have to start. You're gonna have to start like my recommendation. I'll tell them, I'll share some information. Like, hey, here's where I would start. Right? You don't need a manager. You don't need to hire somebody on retainer. You just need to start here. And folks will hit me up on stuff, and I'm always accessible, and I'll respond. And then the one thing, probably like you, that just always I'm like, don't just openly send me a bunch of stuff.
Yes, at least say hi
and
first.
I don't know you.
Just say hi first, at least. And
say hi.
Hey,
did you have a good weekend? Before you send me the new EP press kit and a bunch of video links and how much you want to work together. Like, just, but yeah.
Or at least ask me, hey, I'm in this project.
Love that.
If I send you this stuff? And
I
of
love
course,
that.
both you and I always say yes. And then afterwards, after we listen to it, that's when we'll tell them, hey, it's not for me, or let's talk.
Yeah.
Where you guys at?
Somebody hits you up and you add them as a friend, all of a sudden you get the and and then it's let me know what you think. And I'm like, I don't know you.
Hey, I'm a podcaster and not a band manager. I get that a lot also. People send me their songs all the time. Hey, what do you think? Is it good for your show? What do you think? I'm like,
send it over to Sam. Now he does this. Here, send it to Sam.
You have the same reaction I do then.
Yeah.
Here's Sam's email address. Send it to him. He does all the bookings now.
Instead, what Sebastian does is he ends up sending dick pics. That's his biggest thing. He returns with like a little shrimp dick pic, just in case. Remind you should probably say hi first.
Yeah, because that doesn't always happen either, right? Like, people just, there should be like a greeting, right? Hello, like something.
I get some of those just weird hellos. I'm like, hi. Well, I don't know. What do you want? What are you messaging me for? They get a little hand wave. They're just being nice, I guess. It's nice.
No, they're trying to engage conversation. I get average about 5 a day. 3 of them will be legit. 2 will probably be, some female.
Have you guys been getting hit up by the Bitcoin folks lately?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
What is the deal with the ads? It's not even who you think, and it's like they have no profile. It's like
if they're selling Bitcoin or just marijuana, I am not adding them as a friend because it's probably a weird fake profile, man. I mean, I don't know. It is weird. I do want to say though, I did go to the dnsagency.com and the website could use a little work, but you're getting there.
There's no bands on.
What's interesting is I kept it that way, and originally when I started, I modeled it off of CAA. And at the time, and because I do need to revamp it, but at the time, like CAA, right? So
you had to go into touring. You had to go into touring.
You had to know somebody, but all it listed was its office and a phone number.
Yeah.
So
the logo's super cool. Your logo's really awesome, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of looked at some other people, and at the time, William Morris was kind of the same way, and I kind of modeled that. They've evolved. I haven't on that side.
It's horrible upkeep, Dean. So you know what? Keep it the way you want to keep it, because you
don't need one. You really don't even need a website, honestly, for what you're doing.
I just added
page is what it is.
I just added a band today because we already started getting offers in, and they shoved me on it. So I'm like, okay, I guess we got to announce you today then. And then I still have to add him up here to the page as well, because I really do manage him, and now I'm partners with him with the podcast. So And so yeah, just keep it the way you keep it. Just have it. Don't even worry about it. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
Well, I would say it's been on my mind. It's been on my mind prior to pandemic, and I've had some people at high levels that I'm associated with mention to me, like, hey, you should update that. But I also tell you, I find more stuff outdated by people.
Oh my God, there's
links
a lot
that don't work, like stuff that's old. The bio doesn't. Those people are gone. They changed, and I'm like, mine's a landing page. Right?
Okay,
That's
listen.
the intent.
I'm going to relate to that real quick. Okay, I do got to say this. Before a band comes on, and even you, right, I will go to their website and look up their stuff. Now, if their website hasn't been updated since COVID started, there's probably a lot of changes. Like one band, I said, oh, so your album drops your EP drops March 21st, right? Like, yeah, 2019 or 2020. I was like, well, your website just says March 21st. It doesn't say. I just assumed it was 2021 because it was like a week before. So, yeah, please, people, if you're in a band, COVID is like pretty much over almost. Go update your websites and your tours and who's in your band. Because when you get interviewed by people like me, we don't know these things. We go to your page to research you. And then we sound like idiots. Like we don't know what we're talking about.
Well, one thing I would just throw out there that I do know, like I'm working right now, like it took us, like Rev Theory, they didn't have their YouTube channel for 6 years from Interscope. So I managed to get that back a couple years ago for them. And like the Twitter took me a year because it was tied to a phone that was no longer in existence.
Yeah.
And, so just an FYI to people that are out there, like, to your point, Sebastian, have stuff current. But I do know that there's like hiccups out there with, even folks that have, done gold or platinum records that just, they don't have access or, that's why it may not be updated. But if you have the ability to have it updated, keep it current.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I guess that pretty much about wraps it up. If you want to contact Dean, I mean, you're on Facebook and you're on your website. You do have I would assume your contact email on there.
Contact emails there. Go straight to me. Hit me up on Facebook. I have the DNS agency page. It's got 5,000 or 6,000 people. Just like everybody else, it doesn't get a lot of activity. The personal stuff always gets the activity. Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah, Facebook. That's probably Messenger is the best way to contact him. He'll respond to you.
Yeah, and if you're in a band and you're on my Facebook page, make sure you contact Dean. He may manage you guys also.
No, don't do that. No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. And contact Sam who'll do all your booking. He
no, absolutely.
That's awesome.
No, that's not on
show. All right, okay.
I got 4 tours, 3 releases, this podcast, truck driving all day long. I don't need any more on my plate. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I was just having fun. Okay, everyone, please go to www.theloudspot.net. Go check out our YouTube channel and please subscribe on Facebook. Click that. There's like a little bell or notification when we go live. Click on that to get notified every time we're on. And we're still on Apple, on Spotify. Dean, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Welcome, guys. I appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. Right. And shout out to Ghost Town Rebellion. I love those guys. I know them. They've been on the show a couple times. So, and all the bands that you represent for that matter. All right, guys. I think we're done.
Okay.
But this is the Loud Spot outro by Nothing Short of Tragic. Is this all talk with no action? No. Is this my thoughts with distraction? No. Is this what I bought that's in fashion? Or is this the Loud Spot with Sebastian? Yes. Does Nothing Short of Tragic have his back again? Yes. Does everything that's good really have to end? Yes. A pimp host has a pimp show, so to get more episodes, make an order, this is over.
Thanks for watching our video. If you liked our video and you watched it on YouTube, make sure to click that subscribe button and click that bell to get notifications. If you watched it on Facebook, don't forget to click the like and share it with your friends. And if you watched it on Instagram, share it and give us a follow as well. Sebastian, he's going to tell you where to go to listen to the audio and get some cool merch. Sebastian?
Go to www.theloudspot.net and make sure when you go on YouTube to smash that subscribe button to make sure you get notified every time we have a new video. Subscribe on Facebook. We go live Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday nights. Please give us a like, give us a share, comment, tell your friends. We're trying to do this big. Peace out. Rock on. Much love.
Bye.